Nailed it.
So we talked about how my reading preference is Audibles or Kindle girly. So Jane, what do you prefer?
Definitely a Kindle girly.
Okay.
And will always be a Kindle girly. I did try Audible when I was rereading Fourth Ring and Iron Flame, and surprisingly, I was really enjoying it to the point where I felt guilty that I enjoyed it so much. I felt like I was just cheating on my Kindle. It felt so wrong on so many levels. But that's not to say that I won't go back to Kindle as being like my number one preference. But I just love that you can like highlight things. It fits in my purse. I take my Kindle everywhere I go. It's like an emotional blankie, if you will, because you never know what kind of situation you're going to be in. And so it's like, it's like a security thing.
I have a question. Okay, do you have the Kindle app on your phone?
Yes.
Okay, do you have the Kindle app or no? You're just, okay. So I don't know if all Kindle apps are created equally, but my Kindle app literally has my analytics. So it's like how many days I've read in a row, and then it has all of these goals.
Yep.
Like if you can unlock this badge, and like I fell down that rabbit hole for a minute where I was just trying to unlock every badge, chasing the dopamine or whatever. But if you are listening to Audible and so you don't read that day, you don't read, but you're listening, do they sync? Does that count as a day that you on your analytics?
I think so, yeah. On the Kindle app?
Yeah. Like if you didn't open up a book to read, but you're listening.
That's actually, I don't know.
I know. How does that? So are my analytics even accurate?
Yeah, because my Audible does that, right? But obviously it's for
it tells you how many days
I get badges. Yeah, I was on fire during my ACOTAR.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how that works.
I don't know how they connect.
Right, because they're two different apps.
Yeah.
Is Kindle through Amazon?
They're all Amazon.
But it's just separate. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I noticed that if it's a book that I have both the Audible and the Kindle for, I feel like it counts. But like there's a couple books that I only have the Audible for, and I don't think it counts. I don't think it's counting for me.
Maybe not because Audible's counting it for you. Do you know what I mean?
But
so
I need them to talk to each other because then it's acting like I'm not doing my work.
Yeah,
and I'm putting in the work.
I know.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
you guys will have to test that out.
I know, we'll have to see. But yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, we'll have to look and see.
Like I feel guilty because like I know I have like a 3-day gap that I haven't read, and that's unlike me.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna get the credit. It's not gonna.
And it's not going to all be lit up.
No, it's like, all right, you have some inconsistencies here.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know, leave me alone. Don't
it's like my fitness thing on my Apple Watch. It's like, you haven't been active for 3 days. And I'm like, what do you mean? I've only been running around like crazy. But because I haven't told it I'm working out, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but Kindle for me, I love it. And my books are my trophies. I treat them with respect. And, the respect that they deserve this. Look at the display, the colors, like it's everything.
Yeah.
I worked very hard on it. But I've read, when I was reading ACOTAR, I did read from the physical book. I think I read the 4th book, the thinnest one. What is it, Starlight or?
I've only read that one.
The one that was like the reprieve after the
Lost in Starlight.
Yeah, that one. I read that one. But for the most part, it's just the Kindle.
Yeah. Okay, so we're officially like in the thick of it now. It's happening. So we're going to start deep diving. And so welcome to our show. And just as a reminder, we're going to spoil everything. And we curse. So like if either of those offends you, this is not the space for you. So, but that's okay. I'm sure there's someone else who is
cleaner.
Yeah, absolutely. Who is spoiler free and potty mouth free. But yeah. So we are all grown ups and who have dirty mouths and dirty minds. And we just and that's just who we are. So just to let you guys know, we're gonna start officially with reading. We're gonna be rereading A Court of Thorns and Roses. We're starting with the first book. And I'm curious, Naomi, because you're new to reading, in case you guys missed that on the last episode, she's like a year into it now, or?
Yeah, like a year.
Yeah.
It's a year and a half.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's
Hold
still
on, wait.
new.
I know how to read. I just
Oh yeah, when we're saying
Don't.
reading, sorry. Yes, when we're saying
You know.
reading,
We're not
we mean,
like Sarah.
books.
We're
Yeah.
not, we're not like
Exactly,
Sarah.
yeah.
girl.
Yeah. She knew that the answer to the riddle was love. I didn't, spoiler alert. But I wasn't trying too hard because I was like, they're going to tell me later. So,
Exactly.
so I am curious, is this going to be your first time rereading anything?
Because I didn't read. I know a lot of people reread Iron Flame. Like you chose to do the Audible to kind of reacquaint yourself with it. You did it. I did not reread Iron Flame and Fourth Wing before I read Onyx Storm. And so going into ACOTAR, like I'd be lying if I said I didn't look up like ChatGPT kind of give me a synopsis on the first book of ACOTAR
Sure.
to kind of refresh my mind. But it's like once you start reading it, you're like, that's right. So I've never actually reread something like I will be doing for this, nor have I ever re-listened to an Audible.
Yeah.
Which is what I'll be doing.
I am excited to hear your experience with this because Jade and I have talked about this. Like, so in case you guys don't know, Jade and I like hyperfixate on like everything we do in our whole life. So our chat's a little unhinged, okay? But it's fine.
It's okay. I have a therapist.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We're working through it.
We're working through it. It's fine. So, like Jane, you've told me before, like rereading, like we share the same thing. Like we read the first time kind of for the vibe, like, and then the second time is for like the analysis.
It's like it's a homework assignment. We're gonna fucking do this and like analyze every little thing, use our critical thinking skills, and just be more, I guess, vigilant. So
well, I feel like that second time around is more intentional too, right?
Yeah,
you're looking for stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
You're hoping to find something that you didn't catch the first time.
Yes.
I'm sure that's
why I'm excited to hear, like, especially because it's your first time. So that's why I'm excited to hear, because I've read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I just reread it. And so that was like my third time rereading it. But honestly, that was my first time rereading it from the beginning to end, because I usually
break it up.
I usually just skip to where Reese comes in, or to like Under the Mountain.
Like during a reread?
Because the beginning of when we talk about it too, like we'll deep dive into it. But the beginning of, I mean, honestly, the first half of that book is a little hard for me to read.
It's slow.
My God, it's
even
so slow.
Even to listen to.
Even I was listening to it the other day, and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like
you have to push through it, but
yeah, and it gets pushed. And it does get better. Yeah. Something that I noticed, and this is what I've been like dying to ask you, because you only did Audible with this one, right? And I read this book forever ago for the first time, but this is the first time I've listened to it on Audible. And for me, I felt like the narrator doesn't like Tamlin. And like, honestly, like when you're listening to the tone, like he's saying things. And like when I read it, I don't remember him being like arrogant about it. And then I was like kind of re-listening and I'm just like, does the narrator not like Tamlin, or like does the narrator know something that we don't know? Like maybe they read the whole, and I'm just curious if you felt like from the very beginning, if you can remember the first time you listened to it, was the narrator, like do you feel like the narrator swayed you ahead of time to not like Tamlin?
I think there was a lot of foreshadowing that happened. And so I anticipated something happening with Tamlin that was going to result in me not liking him. And so I don't know if it's so much of the narrator swaying me, I guess, to not like it. I think the narrator did a great job at reading the story the way she was probably directed to read it. Because, they go through a process, right, with picking who these narrators are going to be. So I think of it as almost being on a movie set and the director saying, okay, you need to make sure the audience doesn't like this person. And so I don't know if it's a little bit of that sort of drizzled in there, but I don't think I got the vibe that the narrator didn't. So this is the thing with the Audibles for that series, it's not the dramatized ones, the other ones, right? Book 1 through 3 has the same female narrator for the entire book. Book 4 has a different narrator. Book 5 has a different narrator. So that's 3 different narrators telling the same story. If you read the dramatized version, every single character has a narrator. And so it's quite different. So did you read just the generic?
I haven't done dramatized, and that's what I wanted to know too. Do you like the dramatized versus
I've never read the dramatized.
You've never? Okay.
So it's just something I know that the dramatized ones, every character kind of has the spotlight. And so maybe in my reread, I'll do the dramatized version. I also don't know if all 5 books have a dramatized version.
Oh, I don't know. I
I
just
don't know.
downloaded the dramatized version.
I know there's a couple of them, maybe 1 and 2. I don't know that all 5 books have it. So that will be something maybe I'll consider when I start my reread. But with the narrator, I don't know. And maybe the narrator already knows the ending of the story, and because it's book 1, maybe she doesn't give a shit. So, but maybe that's her job is
I
to
just
make
don't
you feel like something's coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And she
that's
does.
what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
So hopefully, eventually, we can get a narrator on here who can give us the insights.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm dying to know, especially because I've now done it in like different.
Right. What's their process?
Yeah.
Like, what guidance are they giving?
What do they know? Or is the author like, you need to act a certain way this way, or is it all just vibes? And so just from the beginning, she was like, we don't like this guy. Because I don't remember hating Tamlin at first.
I don't think I hated him. I think I saw him as like a knight in shining armor, right? Like, I think when he comes to find out who killed the wolf, right? I think in that moment, I kind of get that feeling like, okay, something's going to happen. Yeah. Something's going to happen, and he's probably going to sweep her off her feet, and she's going to go live in this lovely world kind of thing.
Yeah.
You do get that vibe.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to get that POV.
I read it as I tell everyone, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
Yep.
That's just how that's how I picture, that's how I read it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, just read it like that. And then the series takes off. But the other thing too is that like Jane and I have talked about, is like, I feel like really the first book is just 100%
there's so much
story building, world building.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely has a Beauty and the Beast retelling, sure. But I think that was also, to make it palatable.
Yeah, she's priming you.
Yeah. So like, please keep reading.
Right.
And here's a little payoff, because I didn't realize that whenever we get there, we can talk about it. But like, there's just a few things that I didn't realize that she had already thrown in there in the beginning that just set us up for even almost like Nesta's book. And I don't know if she just remembered she put that in there, used it, or what. I don't know. But I just, it's all world building. I mean, that is literally what book 1 is. It's so much information. Yep. So she just gave us that easy story. And then, because there's not even, is there even a sex scene? I can't remember now. Whenever we go to reread it,
maybe if there is, it'd be like middle to end.
Yeah.
And I think it's like
fine. You know what it is? It might be right at the end, because she bangs with Tamlin.
Yeah.
Once.
Like, yes. And I think is it almost like fade to black maybe, or I don't remember it being very graphic.
No.
I think it was kind of sweet and made you think like, oh, picture perfect.
Because it's basically like, we spent this whole book building this relationship, you know, and then she dies and all that stuff. So we got to give you something. Yeah, 100. I just feel like it's a Lego. It's just like the foundation, and then the castle is just
you have to push through that. Because I remember telling you again, I was at the gym. I felt like I did a lot of audible listening at the gym. It was so helpful. But I remember telling you there's a lot of names, and like there's a lot to keep up with, and it's true. Like, if you aren't really paying attention, you're gonna miss something. And so that's why I don't know, people who read actual books, I just my reading comprehension is not there. Like, I need that storytelling happening in my ear.
I remember I was like, just power through. I promise you, it does pick up. Just power through it.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm just gonna preface.
Yep.
It's impressive, honestly, that you did that, especially because that's not like that was you were new to fantasy and everything. Like, that is impressive that a new reader. But honestly, that's kind of why I appreciate Sarah J. Maas, because she does a good way of like telling a detailed story, and then and so like still it's good for her seasoned readers, but it's still good for
beginners. It's a nice gateway for beginners. So I feel the same way about Fourth Wing too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, because there's a lot of layers, and when you think about, I don't know, like Twilight or something like that, it's very like surface level. Like, it doesn't have the multi layers. Right. Twilight it introduces a lot of new readers, but it doesn't challenge you, I feel like, in the way that these other authors are doing. So I really, really like that. Was there ever a point where you were like, I'm never going to finish this series?
Like, because it was so long, or because it just dragged?
Because it's so long.
No, honestly, it was more like, what the hell am I going to do when it's done?
Yeah.
And then I have Jane here who's like, read another one. Yeah. Then you're going to do Crescent City, and you're going to do all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to continuously be in this loop
And I need you guys
fantasy
to
reading.
freaking read Throne of Glass.
I think that's
so,
what I
like,
was supposed to have
y'all
already
need to
read.
get on
You
it.
have you.
Oh.
I'm gonna do Throne of Glass. I've read the first 3. I barely no.
You have to give it a chance.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try again. Because we're a team and we are supportive queens and we're gonna do this, right? But you have to read Crescent City before we get to a certain point in the book series. So
But you need to read. Hold on, I'm thinking about. Oh my god. Okay, no, you're good. Yeah,
Okay.
I guess you can read Crescent City
yeah.
before Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's just because the Throne of Glass references are just kind of like they're not story based.
No, they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
She can
think
do that.
because I think I remember someone telling me or reading something about like Lydia, like her species or something is in Throne of Glass, but it's not like impertinent. Lydia from Crescent City.
Yeah.
But it's not like doesn't matter.
Right,
It's just a nice because people got so excited.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. Like
you don't have
in
to
the
like,
grand
read it.
scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do think you definitely do need to read ACOTAR. Obviously, for people who want to like the reading order, they should read ACOTAR before they read Crescent City.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, ACOTAR first and then Crescent City. So that's the other thing. Like we're talking about, like we're doing this show. We're going to be talking about every sentence, every line, I've been looking for you, and really what we're doing is talking about how that's going to feed into the further, like the later books. So like if you've read ACOTAR and you're like, hey, let me come to this, just know that we're still going to be talking about like the books after that and referencing things that we're like, oh, does that mean that this is going to happen in Nesta's book? Or is this going to, please, if you have not read those, there will be spoilers for that. Yeah. And then, so it's the same thing with like Crescent City. There's a crossover. So if you haven't read Crescent City, like there's plenty of times where I'm like, oh my God, could that be Hunt? Or like, just like little things. So please implore you to pause, go read it, and then come back and have fun playing with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jane, what is your favorite thing about rereading books?
Immersing myself in that world. I think it's like that nostalgia. It's like, it's good to go back to. It's comforting. You know what's going to happen. So there's like this, like, I'm not like, it's not as suspenseful because sometimes for me when I'm reading and things are getting like super, there's too much going on. Like my anxiety is at an all high. I put the book down. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. So like I take a break and I go back. But then like rereading it, I'm not doing that the second time around.
Oh.
So it like eases my anxiety. It's kind of like rewatching a movie.
Yeah.
It has like the same type of like feeling. But basically just being with the characters again, being in that world and catching things that I didn't catch the first time around, or forget like some scenes that I didn't remember. I'm like, oh my God, this is such a good scene. Like I forgot how good the scene was, or I forgot how much I love Rhysand. I've been reading all other series and like reading about other book boyfriends that I forgot how much I appreciate Rhysand's character. Like those are like the elements that I really like love the most about rereading.
Are you looking forward to?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while. I am, like she said, you kind of like re-immerse yourself right into that world, and it reminds you why you enjoyed reading that series so much. I just know I'm going to be pissed off again because I'm going to turn my Audible off and I'm still going to be in this world. There is no Shadow Daddy coming to save me. And I'm just looking for more ways to love Josh, not despise the fact that he doesn't have wings and can't carry me around.
Yeah. No magic.
No magic.
No wings, no
magic.
kingdom. What's wrong with him? Is he even
Right.
trying?
The audacity. Is he even trying?
But it's crazy. So this is my first time doing my reread of ACOTAR.
Yeah. Okay.
We're on the same,
Nice.
because the only books that I've read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame 3 times, but that's it. So ACOTAR, this is my second reread. It's my second reread because the last time I read it was September of 2023.
Oh.
So we're all
that's
5 books out?
Yeah. So when we were talking, you're like, do you remember this scene in Court of Silver and Flames with Nesta and the bubbles or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I don't remember because it was so long. For me, it's like, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to like dive back into it.
Yeah. So I have a sweatshirt that says like, do it for the mini Pegasus. And it's a quote, like, from Nessa's book whenever they're playing with the bubbles in the house and everything. And she's like, I do not remember that scene. I'm like, oh my God, that's one of my favorite
It's crazy
scenes.
because I read ACOTAR in like June of last
2024?
year.
Yeah.
And I don't remember.
Oh my God.
Bubbles.
I'm so excited for you guys. And
But you know what? You know why this is because it goes along the lines of what you were saying about when you first read something, your mind is really, you're just kind of going along with it because you don't know what's going to happen. So
Yes.
you don't pay attention
so the
to
fun
certain
scene,
things.
yes, definitely.
Yeah, now going back, now I'm, especially because you brought it up, I'm
Yeah.
going to be thinking,
Yeah.
where the hell's that bubble part?
Yeah, exactly.
And when it comes, I'm going to be like, oh, I remember. Even though it just doesn't
because it's just a
immediately
light,
come to
yeah,
you.
because it doesn't move the plot. It doesn't. I mean,
Right.
honestly, well, for that book, it just kind of it definitely shows like a softer side of Nesta and like the camaraderie with the the three of them, and then it's just a break from that. Like that book is so heavy.
Yes.
That book is so heavy, and then
Yeah.
you just have this like sweet moment of just like a girls' night and the house just like taking care of them, and they're just laughing in the middle.
Wait, is this where they were like the house where she
The House
painted?
of
Where
Wind? No.
She's in the House of Wind. The House of Wind, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's House of Wind.
Okay, never mind. I'm
Um,
thinking of the one like
Remember, Nesta's basically like a prisoner in that house.
Yeah.
and she can leave, but someone has to take her back and forth until she does the stairs.
okay, yeah. Is this after she like kept
And-
getting drunk and blew a bunch of money?
Yeah,
and
so
had
there,
never
so
had?
Nessa's not
Okay.
drunk, but
Right.
because she's sober, I think at this point. But like the girls in the house is just spoiling them,
Yeah.
and they just have bubble. It's fun. It's a sweet moment. So
That's the other thing is like, why the fuck doesn't my house do anything?
To
There's
me,
so many elements
cater
of
to me.
why don't I have this?
Right.
You know,
yeah, I'm excited for the reread,
I'm
and
excited.
And I think that the reread lends to you really appreciating those smaller, sweeter moments
Yeah.
because you're not so worried about what's going to happen in the story because you already know.
Right.
And the funny thing is, especially because when you're a romance reader, typically every story kind of ends the same. So you know it's going to be fine.
It's still anxiety inducing.
And you're just like,
absolutely.
how are they going to solve it? What's
Oh
going
my
to happen?
God.
And you're just like,
You want to chop the
relax.
book?
Like they're not gonna, like they're gonna be okay. They're gonna end up together. But I do appreciate that on the reread. That's my favorite, and I love anticipating a scene when you're doing a reread and you're like starting to build up. Like when I did the ACOTAR reread, and she starts talking about calamite, yeah, and so they like mention it, and I was like, that means Reese's like no, right? I've been looking for you, so I know that scene's about to come. Like,
Even before they say anything about him, like you know his ass is behind a tree somewhere.
yes, and then from that
Watch
moment,
it.
I'm just like, oh yeah, is that Tug? Is it the blonde?
Yes.
Is it him? You know, like
Yes.
because once I learned that that's coming up in a few chapters, then I get excited. I'm just like, oh my gosh, now
Yeah.
it's like the
Yeah.
payoff.
Well, and it doesn't make as much sense the first time around, right? So I imagine a reread is really like where you read between the lines almost.
Mhm,
And then,
yes.
yes, the smaller pieces start to make more sense because
Right.
you know what the end game is.
Yes,
So I'm excited
Yeah.
to do a reread.
I'm
So
excited
I'll
to talk
have to
about
see.
it and just all the things, and then maybe Jane and I will share some of our voice memos. But I don't know.
Yeah, we can
Some
do
of them
that.
are a little.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
We have a bunch from Onyx Storm. I don't even know what we had during my
Oh,
Avatar.
we would FaceTime each other. We would FaceTime
Oh, we
each
would
other.
FaceTime.
And then we would voice message each
Yeah.
other.
And then I'd be like, because at one point I was ahead of her
Mm.
in the Audible, and then she would ask me questions, and I'd be like, let me just FaceTime her because I can tell she's like fucking twiddling her thumbs over there. And then it got to the point where she was ahead of me, and then I'm like anticipating what's going to happen next. And she has to try not to give away too much information.
And I
for
called
me.
her sobbing. I'm like, where are
Yeah.
you in the book? I need you to get to where I'm
And
at.
I think I was dozing off during Rhiannon's like little
Oh,
thing, and I'm
I
like,
hate to say, man, I skimmed that. I skimmed that chapter. I was like, dude,
I was
okay.
skimming
I'm
too.
wondering if that's one that's gonna pay off later.
Maybe
it'll be worth
That's the
a
only thing I
reread.
can think of.
I'll
is-
pay attention to it on my
because
Yeah,
I
that's-
couldn't for the life of me figured out what purpose it was serving.
Yeah, that's the
And
thing.
so my guess is it's gonna pay off later. That's the only thing
Yeah.
I can think of.
Imogen's POV, man.
I would say at least with Imogen's, there was so much like depth to that and
Yeah.
context that like shit was happening.
yeah, it
With
was
Rhiannon's, I'm
impactful.
like, look, like I don't
Yeah.
give a shit.
Yeah.
Now I might need book 4 to come out before I'm like, okay, I need to go back and
Yeah,
really reread Onyx Storm because,
Yeah.
like you said, that part might mean something later.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking too. Like,
Right.
especially because I just redid it for Onyx Storm, so I'm
Mhm.
guessing that'll, unless we just decide to reread it for ourselves. But
Side note,
Yeah.
what's the longest series you guys have read? Akatar? Okay.
Oh my god! So it
All
just
things
depends
Avatar.
on like how you consider it. So I read this author Sherilyn Kenyon, who she's a Southerner. She's from Tennessee, went to college in Georgia, and she writes this book series called Dark Hunter. But like she has like sub series too. So they'll have like Dream Hunters and I can't think of what the other one is because I don't have notes. But the reason why I like that is because that series mainly takes place in like New Orleans, and there's a book, or I think it's like a mini book or whatever, where they're actually at Dragon Con, which takes place in Atlanta, and so I always get excited when like feels like I know what's happening. But anyway, so that series, I think it's like on book like 27 or something.
Oh, wow.
Crazy! Like I've been reading that series for. I mean, I started when there was only 13 books. So I've been reading that series for probably 15 years. How old am I?
Oh my.
Yeah, maybe like, yeah. So it's just like.
Are they all intertwined? Like the sub-series? It's just all connected?
Yeah, it's all connected. But it's not like how the series we're reading. So like the Dark Hunters, they're vampire hunters basically. But they're cursed by the goddess. What's her name? What's her name?
Athena?
Not Athena. Athena is the goddess of wisdom. Her name is the other one. I can't.
Okay, so a goddess.
I cannot believe I can't think of what her name is.
Do you know what she's the goddess of?
The Hunt. Wow. It's not Aries because that's the god of war. Okay, it'll come to me at 3 o'clock in the morning. But it's fine. My phone is recording, so I can't Google. It's funny because we're always just like, oh fuck her, because like the whole fandom like hates her, and her twin brother is the god of the sun and she's the goddess of the moon. It's fine, it starts with an A, it'll come to me. So they're cursed by her, so she gives them powers, but then they can't go out and during the day, so they're kind of like have the same-ish powers as like the vampires, but they're immortal. So each vampire hunter, like each dark hunter, basically gets their own book. And then there is kind of like an overarching theme of like eventually the apocalypse will happen, but it's not really like the main character. Like really the main is the stories. And you can pretty much read any book in the series independently. So just all takes place in the same world. Characters will come in and out of each other's books. And then there's a point where you'll see a character over and over and over, and you're like, when are they going to get their book? Like you get so excited because you want their HEA, and like, you know, curses have to be broken and all that stuff.
Does she write anything else, or is this like her lifelong project?
Oh yeah, so she writes a sci-fi series, which I was honestly going to try to get you guys to read because I love that.
This is what we knew for.
Yeah.
That's the longest series you read?
That's pretty long.
But that's the longest series I've read. And Nalini Singh has a long one. That's probably like 17 books, and it's still going out every friggin' year.
What was your Zodiac Academy?
Zodiac Academy. Yeah.
Which was how many?
So in the series, I think there's 10 or 11 books, but there's other, like you have other books, like for example, like the boys, the ones that the four main characters, the bullies, which essentially that's what they are. In the beginning of the book, you have their perspective. You have a book dedicated to the antagonist. I guess there's a book for that. There's other like individual books that's part of that world. So I want to say it's more than like 11 books. Yeah, I didn't read the side books. I just kind of went with like the first story. Yeah, the main stories. Yeah. So that's my longest.
Each book is about someone different, or each book is about the same couple?
The same plot. Just the same characters. Yeah. And then obviously like it explores the dynamics within each of the characters, and like I don't want to, you guys haven't read it, but yeah.
Okay.
It's not like with Akatar where like the last book is like mainly focused on Nesta and Cassian. There is one book though where book 8.5 it's one of the main characters' POV of the events that happen in book 8 or something like that. Okay. I'm like going by memory, so bear with me.
No, you're fine.
So, but I ended up DNFing that one because it's boring as fuck. So I just moved on to book 9 from there because I'm like, right, this already happened in book 8, 8.5. I don't really, I don't know why they did an 8.5. It's whatever, but I just like couldn't get through and finish. I couldn't finish it, so I was like, let me go to book 9, and I don't regret it. So that's the longest. But we'll see. But with like Sarah J. Maas, like reading all her books, like going straight through, like I did ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, and Crescent City. 15 books is the longest I've
Yeah,
read.
that's
like
it.
in terms
It's
of like
big world.
That's a big world. Yeah.
The mass verse.
And it's not done. It's
But
gonna keep
Throne of
going.
Glass is done, yes?
Throne of Glass is done.
Okay.
ACOTAR, apparently there's going to be a 6th book.
Okay.
I don't know.
She's writing it. We don't know whose it is.
And then there's definitely a 4th book for Crescent City. I just don't know.
Has to be,
I don't know if there's going to be more than
literally
4.
nothing gets
Yeah. So I don't know if that's like if the 4th book is the last book. Who knows?
Crescent City is
The city is modern, like fantasy. It's like,
okay.
They have technology, like it's Instagram. They call it Facebook, something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Instead of like Facebook.
And Zodiac Academy is also like modern time.
Oh, nice!
I think that's where they have Facebook. It's Facebook in Zodiac Academy.
Yeah.
And like Zodiac Academy is like the equivalent to watching trash TV.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it's not you're not reading like a literary masterpiece.
Yes.
But it's addicting. Like it's funny as fuck. Like there's like people will post shit and then you'll see people's threads and whatnot, like talking shit about each other. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's crazy. That loves Zodiac Academy.
I'm pretty sure there's an Audible for it, so I wonder how that would work in the Audible.
They'll probably read it. I don't know. I'm sure. Like
read a conversation.
Yeah. You'll have to tell us.
Yeah, they have to.
Have you done the what's it called when it's like what is it called when each character has their own narrator?
The dramatized.
Have you done dramatized versions of books? So you've only ever just listened to regular. I haven't done dramatized either. I don't know.
I love
Someone did it.
I did it for Iron Flame.
Yeah. And that's what made me think like, damn, maybe I should have did that. But again, I don't know ACOTAR specifically if they have 5 dramatized versions. Because it would suck to get caught up in that dramatized world. Yeah. And then you get to like book 3 or 4 and it's like,
yeah, because Fourth Wing, I read like the regular Audible. And then I was like, let me try the dramatized version for Iron Flame. And then at first, it was like kind of for me, like my ADHD brain, like there were parts like if there's like a sad part going on in the book, and there's like sad music in the background. And then I would like get caught up with the background music. I'm like, oh, that's like a nice like song or whatever. And then I would forget, then I wouldn't listen to what was being said. And then I would be like, oh, fuck, let me go back and like listen to the actual dialogue. Yeah. So I had my moments where I would like go sidetrack or like my brain would go elsewhere. But other than that, I enjoyed it overall.
Did you feel like you could multitask? Which I don't like to use the term multitask because you can't do 10 things well at once. Yes. But do you feel like could you clean up the house? Could you do things while listening to Audible and still stay focused?
Things like that don't require me to use my brain, yes. Like I couldn't run my reports and do like work-related stuff and listen to the Audible.
I cannot work and listen to books.
I can't. If I'm cleaning or like folding laundry, doing things like that,
driving is fine.
And driving, but you can't catch me like reading email, opening up email.
Right. Well, but you can't register what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would notice too. And I think that's why I get so much done. You gotta clean the whole house and like finish a book.
Yeah, doing the dishes. I like doing the dishes, and because it's just you don't have to think about what you're doing.
Like in the summertime, make the hookah, and I'd be outside every day listening to my Audible. I would clean the house, do my work, go outside. It's if it's summertime, it'd be like, well, put the bathing suit on, be outside catching them rays. Nice. But not put music on, but I would make a hookah most days. And then Josh would come out and be like, you're making another hookah? And I'm like, no, I was so caught up in my book that the coals burned out and I couldn't do the first hookah. So it's just,
it's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
Mm-hmm. I remember you telling us how you found yourself whenever they would say like, he growled, and you would be like, and
like, a lot of that happened when I'd be on my walks.
I'd be making the noises along with the...
Yeah, and it's so funny how that happens. Because it happens to me now, even if I'm not reading a fantasy book. Well, they'll say something and I'll be like, or like, if they made a facial expression, I'd be like, so yes, and I don't know
it for them.
Yes, and I'm almost like it's coming through me and it's being portrayed. Except nobody sees me doing it. If they did, they'd be like, something is wrong. Even at the gym sometimes, I'll catch myself like, holy shit. When I was going through, it was probably like Iron Flame and stuff, and I'm just like, actually, I was on the treadmill with Bella, and Bella was next to me, and I'm just like, and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh my God. And there's just shit was happening. And I'm like, ooh, you almost have to like squeeze your legs together because it's like something might really happen. Yeah, there were just moments that would catch me off guard. It went from like 0 to 100. And I'm like, holy fuck. But then the only downside, if this is even a downside, to reading romance fantasy, for me personally, is you start to have these unrealistic expectations for the real world that we actually live in. And I found myself being disappointed in little things, right? Mm-hmm. Like, does reading romance fantasy, do you feel like it affected affects your relationship in any way? Like, does it make you look at things differently? Does it make you notice maybe something you didn't notice before and think, I deserve better than this?
Well, I think because, like, I don't read a lot of contemporary fiction. I think maybe if I read contemporary romance, so then it's just, like, regular people, which I do sometimes, but I think if I was just reading about, like, regular people who went to work every day, whose, like, husband brings them flowers every day, you know, and just, like, always says all the right things. I think maybe I would start to kind of get into that, but, like, since mine's mainly, like, science fiction romance, fantasy romance, paranormal romance, I mean, how can I hold him to a recent standard?
Well, the world is trying. And,
yes,
and
exactly.
It's failing,
like,
badly.
Because then if he tries to hold me to, like, I don't know, a Nessa standard, because, you know, we all read that bed scene. So it's like,
even still,
right, you know
even from the woman's POV, right? I'm like, damn, like, why can't I be like that in my relationship? Maybe if I was like that, he would be like this. And then so I do think there are aspects of it that do make me look at our world with sort of some like unrealistic expectations. And I think that's kind of how people talk about social media, you know what I mean? But it's like you get lost in this world and you're like, what the fuck? My world is complete opposite. Why are people just like this? And then it's like, you're just
and that's
sad
why you go
at
right
the
back
end.
into that world, that bubble. Yeah, I feel
and it's
like
easy to fall into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there were points in time where I felt like I'm like, why doesn't he do that for me?
I could just see you, Jane, like reading it, and I could just see Kenny walk by.
And like, I'm not saying Kenny's great. Like, he's always like very reassuring and like in his own way, he's very affectionate and just like, don't touch me. Like, but then I'm like, but why didn't you touch me? But then I'm also like a walking paradox. So that's me. I'm just a complicated person. But there's times where I'm like, I love the way these characters say, I love you in those ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I want to hear that.
Like,
Since
you know me.
Have you seen the sweatshirt on Etsy? I mean, it might be everywhere else, but it's literally like all the ways famous book characters said I love you. So it's like all quotes, but it's not I love you. It's
just
one of them is the I've been looking for you, whatever, right?
I've been looking for you, and one's like I'll bleed whatever color you tell me to.
Oh my god, that's Throne of Glass.
Dorian. And then they'll have they have like and that's what the whole page is nothing but quotes. It's like so and so said this, and it's just which I love but like for me I love that because it just reminds me that there are different ways.
Yeah.
For people to say I love you, and
course,
and sometimes we get caught up on like you didn't tell me you love me today. Well, I went and I started your car for you, so you didn't have to, and I did X, Y, and Z, like all those other things, and people just kind of forget. They get caught up in that like little baby thing, which is why I really appreciate that sweatshirt, because it really just shows that. There are multiple ways to say I love you to someone, and some of us forget that. So for me, I always thought that when I became a reader, because I became a reader as an adult, I always felt like it made me a better person and a happier person, and it made me love my husband more because, romance novels. Sometimes they be hidden.
That's why when 50 Shades of Grey came out, we now have a whole drawer full of stuff, and I'm like.
Yeah.
Girl, how the hell did a book do that for you?
Yeah.
But also makes you feel good.
It does. And it puts things into perspective. I feel like, all right, these books are great. These men are great. My man is great, in his way. This is how he shows he loves me. And I need to reel myself back in because, like, it's a book. Like, and my man treats me great, whatever. But it just puts things into perspective for me. And I'm just like, all right, let's be realistic here, Jane. He's not a fucking fae.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can't burn the world down. Fine. I'll make my peace
other
with
time.
that. So, but
yeah. But I think also people forget romance. Forget all the subgenres. We're just talking about just romance genre in general is $1 billion industry with a B.
People eat it up.
It is the highest selling stuff. Like, and I had read somewhere, like it was like a meme or something that said like romance is $1 billion industry because women fantasize about someone telling them they love them. And you're just like,
but that right there is like, that's monumental.
yeah,
Like that's it's so few words that have such a grand meaning.
Yeah.
And I think it's true. Like that is where
there's a void
women connect
to be filled.
Yes.
You know, it's and there's I would love to, you know, maybe read something that's like a male author writing a romance book and see.
Have you ever heard of Nicholas Sparks?
Well, yeah.
It's like a whole thing.
Yeah, because it's not real, right? Like it just feels like it's made up when they do it. But when we do it, it's like this world we escape to. Like there are people who read this stuff because they need to escape to a world that makes them feel the way their world doesn't. That makes sense, you know? So it's actually kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
It's sad that there's so many people out there just aimlessly wandering around looking for.
But it makes me happy that they have that
outlet.
That outlet.
Yeah,
to just feel that. Because sometimes I'd be feeling those feelings for real. And I'm like sobbing along. And I think about it, and which is why we're even talking about this, because ACOTAR, for whatever reason, resonates with so many people, and we just can't let them go, and we just want to talk about them all the time because we feel like we went through it with them,
right?
And so, as the professional overthinkers that we are, like we feel entitled.
Yeah, protective over those characters.
And I'll throw some hands over some Nesta haters. Like
I know, I feel so like I have a real soft spot for Nesta.
We're gonna do all things Nesta episodes.
Yes, that's our plan.
FYI.
Yes, all things Nesta.
Yeah,
and definitely we want to do that. Absolutely,
we can talk about her for days.
Days and days.
Just peel the layers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I guess first we're gonna talk about a 19-year-old illiterate human
huntress
who is the youngest sibling, and had a hard knock life.
Yep, takes care of her family because her dad has a lot of debt, and she's one little unintentional mistake
America
changes her life. True.
Now that we're thinking about it, damn. Oh my gosh. So I think that's a good place to stop. Yeah. Okay. Well, next time, we're officially starting the first A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. We said we're going to try to deep dive chapters 1 through 10.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So if we get through them all, yay. If not, we'll just, I don't know. Y'all are on, we're new. Y'all are on the ride with us. But we're going to completely dissect everything. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Yeah. We're Terrence Angels. We did not say that at the beginning. Our bad. We're new.
We'll be more organized. I'm sorry.
We're going to get our life together. We're on Instagram and the TikToks.
Yep.
And Spotify and YouTube and Podbean. So we're going to try to post stuff regularly. Probably not entire episodes. What do we say? Like bi-weekly episode? I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Yeah. We're going to try to put out often so you guys don't forget about us, but make sure you like and subscribe. Anything that you want to know about, like our sweatshirts, so they're all lovely ACOTAR stuff, let us know and we will drop the links. We want to hear from you guys because we want to know if y'all think the same way we do or not. And anything you guys want to say, plug?
We will see you next time, and hopefully you'll join in and engage in our world.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Did it.